Hey friends, welcome to the Upright Christian Parenting Podcast, Season 4, part of the Treehouse Storyteller family, and I'm your host, Hannah Peru. This is your place for upright parenting in today's sideways culture. We don't tiptoe around hard truths around here. We tackle cultural issues head on, build a bold biblical worldview, and equip you to lead your flock with courage. Our kids are being discipled by something, so let's make sure it's us. Grab your coffee, lace up your shoes, and let's raise kingdom arrows. Hey everyone, welcome back to Upright Christian Parenting. We are still on the road. We brought the treehouse with us. We are in Nashville, Tennessee at the NRB, National Religious Broadcasters. And today I have the pleasure of introducing you guys to Dr. Corey Miller. So thanks for being with us today.
It's so great to be here with you. Thank you for hosting me.
Yes, it's wonderful. I'm excited to dig in. We're going to talk about higher education. We're going to talk about his new book. It's going to be awesome. I think it's going to expose some things, and we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of our education system a little bit. So why don't you give us kind of a little bit of a background on yourself and kind of why you got into this section?
Well, my background is I was raised as a seventh-generation Mormon.
Wow.
And so one of Joseph Smith's bodyguards was my ancestor, and I think the highest level defection from Mormonism ever and the first splinter group ever comes from my family. So my family says, given the polygamous background and so forth, that we come from healthy stock, right? So I'm the first in the 7 generations then to leave Mormonism, come to Christ, and it was that experience coming out of Mormonism and then realizing that the Book of Mormon was fraudulent and starting to reflect that, what about my recent experience coming to Christ, the biblical Christ? I was always told you couldn't trust the Bible, but it didn't matter because we had a living prophet. I no longer believe in the living prophet, so what am I going to do with this Bible? How do I know it's historically reliable? How do I know God even exists? And if so, which God? And so it sent me into a short period of skepticism, and I got into comparative religions and philosophy, and found this field called Christial Apologetics. Became an evangelist and went into pastoral ministry for a while, but I really needed to be at the secular university and eventually wanted to go on at the highest levels for a PhD in philosophy, and that's where I went, and I had my first PhD stripped away from me in my 5th year, told I had too much of a faith perspective. As an ethics professor at Indiana University, I faced a legal situation with a former pastor who turned gay and charged me with creating a suicidal environment simply because I challenged the Gestapo mentality.
Okay, hold on. You said Indiana University.
Yeah.
Which one?
Indiana University proper.
Okay, I thought you said an Indiana University.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I'm a Boilermaker. I went to Purdue, so I'm like, hold on, T, we've got to figure out which
And my
one
daughter's
this
a
is.
Boilermaker right now,
awesome.
and so I ended up having to terminate with a 5-year master's degree from Purdue, and that made me see where the gold was at the end of the rainbow, and that was the professor. If you can get the professor, you get their classroom too for 30 years.
Yeah.
So I'd been a professor, I'd fought the fight there,
Yeah.
I got my first PhD stripped away from me, and then I defended my dissertation in front of a guy who calls himself the first trans philosopher in the UK, who's an Augustinian scholar.
Wow, I don't even know what that means.
Augustine, Saint Augustine,
Okay.
studies his virtue ethics, and it's like, you're trans, and you write an open letter to J.K. Rowling, thanking her for her books, which helped make you trans. This is just craziness, but this is what's happening in the universities. And so I went on for the PhD, completed it, ended up getting hired on as the CEO of Ratio Christi about a decade ago. And the book came about because I needed something initially that would give me a speaking platform on something that was just not academic, something that was not just Mormon for Utah, but something that was broadly cultural and addressing the issue of our times, and that is the university. If you want to change the culture, you change the university, because what's happening is our society is radically and rapidly secularizing and Marxifying, you might say, and it's because of the universities. So parents and grandparents who send their kids off to the university without equipping them are literally paying for the apostasy of their own children.
Wow. You know, we talk about problems so often. It's so easy to point to a problem, expose a lie, expose what's at fault. But I mean, you seem to kind of see a solution hey, if we get in here and we cut this out right here, then we can go upstream and take care of it. Do you see what's your role in that now?
I mean, it's a fight. They want our children, and they want our tuition. They don't want our ideas. And so even though our focus as a ministry is apologetics evangelism, it's thoughtful Christianity addressing the tough questions of, why does God allow evil? What about science and scripture? What about truth and evidence and things like that? We have 4 federal victories, 5 appellate court victories, 2 SCOTUS assists, and before Biden left office, we gave him a 4-year victory in the Department of Education, right? At any one time, I've got 3 to 6 situations happening on university campuses. And so this is a fight right now because the other side knows that whoever controls the education controls everything. Yeah. Politics is downstream from culture, culture from education, and the apex of education is the university. Yeah. As goes the university, so goes the culture. As goes the U.S. university, so goes the world. And so we need to think minimally about preparing our kids, our families, our congregations, and our co-workers for the ideology pouring out of the universities from upstream. But we need a plan to go into the universities long term. Otherwise, we're just pouring a dump truck of chlorine downstream, and we can see the bottom of the cesspool for 15 seconds, but it's going to be gone because it's coming from upstream. So our ministry is addressing, the apologetics evangelism on the outside, but we have a professor's ministry as well, and we are funding PhD students getting into top 100 universities because the job market, but also their job is to not do apologetics evangelism primarily, but integration of faith and reason, faith and life, faith and vocation, and then infiltration. It is landing in the beaches of Normandy. It's going to be costly, but it is necessary if we're going to get the heavy armament back onto the mainland and take back the universities. And we have no choice in the matter. We can't escape. We can't just keep starting new institutions with, a $10,000 endowment and Atari computer when Harvard has $52 billion. And even our own kids, like my daughter, as an elementary ed major, going to Purdue, which is one of the more conservative public universities, because of the engineering programs, the bridges have to stay up, and so 2 + 2 still equals 4.
Right, yeah.
Not at Indiana University, but at Purdue. Yeah. But she's in the education program. Yeah. She's going to teach elementary ed. What if she goes into the Christian schools to teach elementary ed, and she didn't have a father with 4 graduate degrees and can sniff out the Marxism? I have her give me her syllabi for every class she's taking, and I can see it there. So even into the Christian schools, we're taking it into the Christian schools when we're going off to the secular universities. We have to reclaim the secular universities. There is no option.
Wow, and I think our friend Charlie Kirk knew this. I mean, he was always on campus, always fighting for the same thing.
Yeah, he's had his thumb on a pulse there, that's right.
Yeah, I want to read this quote from you. America is undergoing a cultural revolution. Even when the political pendulum swings the other way, it's likely brief. America is big and has a durable history set up wisely by founders, but it's not bulletproof. You go on to say, higher education has become so thoroughly secularized that an alternative viewpoint is foreign. I love this idea of the pendulum. I feel like that just resonates with me. I feel like sometimes, we think the pendulum's really swinging. So talk about why is that likely brief?
Because politics is brief, but they already have the universities, and the Marxification through DEI, or what I call DIE programs, have gone from the humanities and the social sciences and jumped tracks into engineering, mathematics, and medicine. Yeah. And just because, we've, through the Supreme Court, made racist admissions hiring, so to speak, off limits, they're still doing it. They're just calling it different things. It's lipstick on a pig. And so we've got political cover right now, and we've got, the courts, and we've got attorneys and things like that. But that could shift on a dime. That could shift rather quickly. Yeah. We cannot keep fighting the fight only downstream. We have to go to where the source of the problem is. Yeah. And that's going to be a long-term and concerted effort. And so it takes donors, and it takes a good idea and a blueprint, coalition, but we have to learn from what the cultural Marxists have done now in what I call the second ideological revolution. The first one was scientific naturalism, which took over our universities that have been around for 250 years. And it, its reign of terror began with the new atheism, but we can see that that old guard is now being pushed out. Richard Dawkins might be the sort of Robespierre of that French Revolution, right? He created the guillotine to guillotine and behead all of these religionists, and now he got guillotined by his own guillotine, like Robespierre did. Who is doing the guillotining now? It is the Marxists, the postmodern cultural Marxists. And so the second ideological revolution is among us right now. We don't know how it's going to end, but if we do not fight the battle, we absolutely know how it'll end. And this will be the greatest Marxist victory in history to take the ultimate prize, which is America. If you take the universities, you're going to take America, because that's where our political leaders are coming from, our business leaders, our K through 12 educators. I mean, this is the
leadership,
world. 1 in 3 world leaders, presidents, prime ministers, dictators, earned an academic degree at a U.S. university. And, church attendance is down. Probably 30% of Americans go to church weekly, 39% almost weekly, but exactly 39% of 18 to 24-year-olds are enrolled in college.
Wow.
If you go to church weekly, you get 52 sermons a year. The average freshman gets 60 sermons his or her first month. So tell me who has the ear on the future.
Wow, that's really good. Before we jump back into today's conversation, we want to take a moment to thank the partners who help make this podcast possible. One of those partners is College of the Ozarks, an institution committed to Christ-centered education, hard work, and developing leaders of character. Take a listen to this special message from College of the Ozarks.
From our very first days, America has been driven by the idea that hard work could lead us to the life we always envisioned. And today, honoring that legacy, College of the Ozarks does more than just provide an education. We're reawakening the American spirit.
When I thought about college, I knew that I wanted to do something that I was ambitious. C of O opened my eyes to the opportunities that were out there for me.
Our model of providing a Christian liberal arts education to those facing economic hardship hasn't wavered since 1906. Our students graduate debt-free through our work education program. They learn how to live a life guided by their faith. And as they begin their careers, they've learned how to take their seat at the table of influence and open the door of opportunity for others.
Being an assistant principal has allowed me to pour into kids the way that people have poured into me and open up doors and opportunities to things that they didn't know were possible.
We're reawakening the American spirit in the next generation. Will you join us?
That's really good.
And to scare people even more, the ratio of liberal to conservative professors in the 90s was 2.3 to 1.
Wow.
Still, when you have 100 professors, that's still significant, but you've got at least a checks and balances.
Yeah.
It's now 12 to 1 for those who are retiring, 23 to 1 for those who just got tenure and have 30 years ahead of them, 27 to 1 at the Ivy Leagues, and in some institutions like, say, Yale, it's 78 to 1. So again, parents and grandparents are paying for the apostasy of their own children if they don't equip them to go into these secular baptismal fonts, and you can't escape it. We can't run from this stuff anymore. We have to face it, but we have to simply follow Jesus and love God with our minds, first commandment, and be prepared to give an answer for the reason, for the hope that's in us, and do it with gentleness and respect. There we have the head, the heart, and the hands, the fully integrated Christian.
Yeah, 1 Peter 3:15, always be ready. That's so good. That's so good. Well, I love that you have 3 kids.
I do.
And I love that you are not only in it personally, clearly your experiences that you're bringing to the table, but you're also bringing your kids' experiences to the table. And their ages that they are. You remind me again, 24, 21?
24, 20, and 16.
Okay. So, they're like surrounding that college age. So they're either fresh out or going there to that, potential college experience. So I love that you're in it in life right now, and that just tells us so much, that you're just really experiencing it firsthand. So I really, really appreciate that.
Yeah.
And what I really, truly commend you for is looking over their material. I mean, they're adults, but you're looking over it. And I really appreciate that. I don't think parenting stops at the age of 18. I think, God has given us our kids, and that is for that whole lifetime, and it can look different. It can be more, just holding a hand or walking alongside of them. But I really appreciate that you're not just like, hey, fight your own fight, you're 18, you're off to college, I'm empty nester, that mentality.
Yeah.
And so I really do appreciate that you're in it with them, and that shows that they trust you and they want you in their life. So that's really cool.
I'm
did
blessed.
Something right there.
I'm blessed. My son has joined the Army.
Okay.
He's
My
raising his
husband's a
support.
Marine.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yeah,
So
military
a
wife here.
bellhop. We make fun because I was Army. Yeah. He's
Okay.
joined our army in this revolution. The Ratio Christi Army is what I mean by that. He started to raise his support, but he's going to be a chapter director down at Texas A&M and go into government.
Okay.
So he'll be with us on the campus for a while, and then he's going to be going into government after.
Okay.
My second child, daughter, again, education, upstream.
Yeah.
And then the other one, I make an effort because we need to do this to stay close. And on Sundays, we go to Panera Bread, and we'll either do Bible reading together, or we'll go through a book on Christian apologetics.
That's cool.
To prepare her not only to survive, but to thrive for what is to come, because it is coming for sure. And you're right, our job as parents, it changes over time, and I'm learning this, and how to do adult parenting,
Right.
who are now adjacent
It's
and
more
allies.
mentoring, right?
Yeah. But train them up in the way they should go, and when they get older, they get conscripted to work for the other side, which is what's happening, or they stay faithful to the end.
That's right.
And we can't hand off our job to the youth pastor.
Yeah, that's right.
Because things are not going well in that field. Not to throw all youth pastors under the rug, but I was a youth pastor, and I understand where the statistics are at right now.
Sure.
And they're not equipping for what's to come at the universities.
Yeah, you can't put all of it on them either.
That's right.
So, no, that's good. So this is a parenting podcast. I love equipping parents with materials. I want to talk about your book. Before we get into that real quick, you talked about sitting down at Panera and talking through apologetics. Is there any resources that you use with your kids that you would highly recommend?
We have our own product line now. So we're on the campus as a campus ministry, but we have a product line of booklets on our website through our press, and over 60 of them. They're written by authors, almost all of whom have PhDs and have likely written books in that area, 200 to 500 pages long. And I tell them, give us that in 25 pages at the 11th grade reading level.
Cool.
They're digital and printable on everything from the reliability of Scripture, science and faith, why does God allow evil, to now race, class, sex, gender, ethnicity, and so forth. So if you want to read something on transgenderism, the author is going to have a book, 200 plus pages, a PhD, and be former trans. On homosexuality, the author is going to have a PhD, and in this case, be former lesbian. If you want to read something on Is Christianity a White Man's Religion, the author's going to have a PhD and be former black and current black.
I was going to say, wait a minute, hold on.
Yeah. So, for the credibility, we've got bite-sized chunks by relevant and reliable authors.
Okay.
So people can, and they can, if they go to our website and just give us their email address, so we send them our monthly propaganda newsletters.
Sure.
They can download all the PDFs for free,
Yeah.
or they can get it fit on their phone and buy the EPUB or printed versions or whatever. But also, I would say there are great authors out there, that have, like, say, middle school level or high school level analogs to their adult level, like the Lee Strobel, the Case For series.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, we have that on our shelf. Yep, that's great. That's awesome. All right, let's get into your book. I'll show it for the viewers. The Progressive Miseducation of America, Confronting the Cultural Revolution from the Classroom to Your Community. Tell us a little bit about the book, why we need to read it.
So it's divided into three. It's almost three different books. The first third is to say this is no longer Grandma's America, what just happened to our country, where I share anecdotal stories everywhere from politics to education, from the churches to the media and so forth. We are living in a cultural revolution.
Yeah.
And second third is, well, how did we get here? And I say, look no further than the universities. Didn't we start those? And I give the history of the American university and show that, almost every college president of every university for at least the first 200 years was also a member of the clergy. And so these were not, and the Protestant clergy in particular, so these were not just secular universities, these were Christ-centered universities. But the problem came in 1880 to 1930. The battle was on. We didn't have PhD programs in the United States, and so we sent our best and brightest over to Europe, typically to Germany, which was the most formally educated country in the history of the world at the time. And that's where you have, scholars like Immanuel Kant. We remember his philosophy by "you can't know ultimate reality," right? So agnosticism, I don't know-ism. You have Schleiermacher, who's the father of modern liberal theology. You have Freud, sexuality, gross sexuality, which has taken us through the 1960s. You have Nietzsche, the God is Dead movement. You have Karl Marx and so forth. And all of the graduates would then come back to Harvard, Princeton, Yale, Columbia, and they would have the upper echelons degrees, and they took over our universities. By the 1930s, the dust was settling. We had to start all over with like Westminster and Wheaton and Calvin and Biola, all of now who are now sensing the cracks in their foundations because of the second ideological revolution, and whether they survive or not, it will tell in due time. But in the 1930s, right when the dust was settling, something nefarious was happening again in Germany. And this little city called Frankfurt, Germany, Frankfurt School of Critical Theory, we now hear of critical race theory, critical gender theory, critical queer theory, critical pedagogy, critical iceberg theory. If it's not critical thinking and it says critical, run, because it's Marxism plus whatever else it's talking about. And those people, they were all socialists in Germany, whether you wanted to be a national socialist or a globalist socialist, Hitler or Stalin, essentially. Hitler won. They had to get out of town. Where did they go? Columbia University, Brandeis, UCLA, and they started populating our universities with this new cultural ideology that then got through the 60s generation. And they realized at that time, and it wasn't just them, down south, since you're a Boilermaker, this is interesting. Down south in what I call the Axis powers of socialism, you had Antonio Gramsci, considered perhaps the most dangerous of the cultural Marxists. How could he be so dangerous? He never got out of prison. Mussolini put him in prison. He wrote the prison notes because they got mediated into the English-speaking world right in the state of Indiana at Notre Dame University by a Marxist professor with the name Joseph Buttigieg, father of Mayor Pete, who might be a presidential candidate coming up. And that was, Pete wasn't just homosexual, he had a good dose of critical queer theory.
And that's my hometown, by the way. That's St. Joseph County.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
You know
Well aware. Yep.
And so, this is now, and then, 15 years later, we saw postmodernism founded. And a lot of people, it's hard to define relativism, so you would think, okay, so the politics of these people would be everything from far left to far right. It's not. All of these first and second generation founders of French postmodern thinking were members or sympathizers of the French Communist Party. So I say that what happened here was the Axis powers and sort of the Vichy government of France getting now exported at the highest levels over into America for the second ideological revolution, which is postmodern cultural Marxism. The first revolution, which was scientific naturalism, gave us the social gospel in the churches. The second one has now given us social justice, which is not just It's not justice at all.
Yeah.
And they're now taking over in the universities, kicking out the old guard, which explains why people like Richard Dawkins now wants to call himself a cultural Christian and be our friend.
Yeah.
And Elon Musk, a transhumanist, doing his part to repopulate the earth with 13 illegitimate children, is now wanting to call himself a cultural Christian. Jordan Peterson, an existentialist Christian. And you've got members of the Democratic Party presidential candidates like RFK and Tulsi Gabbard, a Kennedy of all things, now serving on the Republican ticket.
Right.
How is that? What is going on? We are in a revolution right now, and has infiltrated everything from our politics to media to ecclesia. It's in the churches, the campus ministries, Christian academic societies, and our seminaries. And so the barbarians are no longer at the gates, they're in the citadel. And so the last third of the book then is the solution. And that is that we need to repent. The church has, for the last 100 years in America, excommunicated the life of the mind. We've decapitated ourselves and live with the menace of mindless Christianity.
Yeah.
And Mark Knoll wrote a book 30 years ago called The Scandal of the Evangelical Mind, and the scandal is that there isn't much of an evangelical mind.
Is that kind of the same as like a secret church, like really
A secret
just kind of
church.
that TED Talk Sunday?
Yeah, and so you get the pastors that all too often are enamored with the latest fads, and so you have skinny jeans and fog machines right on Sunday morning. They're getting a lot of their goods, so to speak, from sociology and culture rather than from theology and scripture and good Christian philosophy.
Sure.
And so my advocacy is we need a third revolution, and that was the original title of the book until the publisher changed it. It was The Third Revolution, from the Campus to the Culture, and a Vision Forward. And the vision forward is that we need to resurrect the life of the mind, the head of Christ along with the heart and the hands, right? The full integrated Christian. And we need to show that Christianity is good for the world, not just good for heaven, but good for civilization, that it is reasonable and that it is true. This is the field of Christian apologetics, cultural apologetics. And then I give a clarion call to pastors and ministers, parents and grandparents, prayers, political allies, all hands on deck. It's the university, stupid. And I want people to realize that for this kind of third revolution, this kind of revival that needs to happen in the churches, we need to think about the universities, because even if we go back to the great revivals of history, from Azusa Street to Yale and Asbury and even Wittenberg in Germany, it wasn't Pastor Martin Luther, it was Professor Luther. The college campus is ground zero for this. You want to change the culture, change the university.
I know we saw SEU last week with their big revival.
It's fantastic. But we need sustained long-term efforts. And even if most people aren't called to go back into the university like we are, everybody can do something, and minimally you can prepare by understanding what ideas are coming, the poisonous ideas coming out of the universities and coming right into our Christian schools and into our homes. Right now you can't even hide in the closet because you've got the cell phone and the kids have TikTok, and it seems like there are more trans middle school students than there are middle school students in existence, right? And they come home and they say, Mom, Dad, Grandma, Grandpa, would you rather have a dead son or a living daughter? You choose. And so the parents then, struggling just to keep the relationship alive with the shoestring, end up going progressive themselves.
And it really doesn't buy you anything. It doesn't. The statistics are just as horrible affirming that, if not worse, affirming that, than actually trying to walk it out and walk through it with them and change their hearts, because it's a heart issue there. So.
We don't tell people with eating disorders, you're fat.
Exactly.
Or people with schizophrenia, I hear those voices too.
Right.
You think you're Cleopatra? Yeah, you really are Cleopatra. Because now our coddling them rather than treating them has moved not just from a mental state of suicidality, it's moved into a cultural state of homicidality. How many of these trans murders are we going to accept?
Right. It's horrific. Well, you gave us a call to action. We've got to educate ourselves. We've got to really jump in there. read this book, guys. Go get it. I have it sitting, waiting on me in my car. I'm so excited. It's going to be so good. And I've got 15, 13, and almost 7. And so, I mean, we're coming. We're going that way, and I want to know what we're getting into. And so that's, really it's never too early to figure that piece out of it. So, I mean, you prepare your finances, you might get your 529 squared away, and
that's right.
You've got to know what you're saving up for. You're not just going to invest. I mean, you go buy a car, you know what you're getting, right? You know all the stats, but you just ship your kids off to school saying, hey, they'll take care of them, they'll be fine. And that's not how it is, clearly. So thanks so much. It was so awesome having you today, Dr. Corey. I just really appreciate you being here, just really educating us on this topic of education. And, just, is there any last thoughts or any?
Again, as go the universities, so goes the culture. As goes the U.S. university, so goes the world. I'm on speaking tour right now. I'll be doing a parents seminar next weekend up in New Jersey, and then lecturing at Princeton. If people want to invite me into their campuses, their churches, their men's ministries, or parenting conferences or homeschools, I'm yours. Give me a call, drcorymiller.com.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, wear your armor as you go into those places. The armor of God will prepare you for that. So I appreciate what you're doing. Thanks so much.
You too. Go team, go God.
Yeah. If today's conversation stirred something in you, if you're craving a little more quiet, a little more presence, and a little more Jesus in the everyday, I want to invite you to grab the Wanderer's Field Guide. It's a 4-week journey of seeking, gathering, harvesting, and abiding in His presence. Just 1 page a day, 1 prayer at a time. It's not about perfection, it's about coming home to Him. You can order yours at thetreehousestoryteller.com.